Thanks for checking out the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to see me play your deck, hang out with me in the amazing BoshNRoll community in Discord, access to my lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, book an individual coaching session, or just generally want to support what's going on here, check out the Patreon and YouTube membership options. For the finest Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, use code BoshNRoll for 10% off your order at coalesceapparel.shop. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. If you want to play what I'm playing, use my affiliate link to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com and play any deck anytime on Magic Online with a cardhoarder.com loan account. Thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Mr. Skittles, who has me playing the updated version of Zach Allen's Wrenn White and Blue control deck. This is a deck I've played on the channel before when I was preparing for Magic 30 in Vegas. I played this deck in the beta draft trials, and while I did not get to draft beta, I did win a few packs of Legends, which was pretty cool. This deck felt great the whole weekend, and this is an update many months later. The premise of this deck is that Wrenn 6 is busted, and blue-white control is great. So, originally, this was a blue-white control deck that had Wrenn 6 on the splash, which sounds crazy because it's a GRUUL card. But the deck was playing Leyline Binding, which was the new hotness at the time. It was full of triomes and splash colors anyway. And then if you get Wrenn 6 online, you're just doing great. And Wrenn 6 tucked into a deck that can play through Blood Moon with its basic lands and cast Counterspell, cast Archmage's Charm, do all this cool blue-white stuff. It's a heck of a combination. After that tournament, all of us who played the deck, myself and Matt Sperling played the deck. We were talking to Zach, who wasn't in Vegas, but we were in talks with him. All of us came to the conclusion that the deck wanted Omnath, if for nothing else, just for some life gain. You'll notice there's only one copy. This is not a dedicated 4-color Omnath deck. It's still kind of in that blue-white control core, but there is an Omnath in the main. Gaining life is important in a lot of matchups. That just gets you out of reach of whatever nonsense once you're stabilized. We weren't playing Expressive Iteration last time, and when we played this in Vegas, the Chalice of the Voids were in the main, which meant that Unholy Heat was not a card we could play. And you'll notice that Unholy Heat is in the deck now, and Prismatic Ending has replaced Leyline Binding as the white removal spell of choice. The modern metagame adapted pretty well to Leyline Binding, as Boseiju gets the card back, your binding gets the card back. Prismatic Ending just makes the thing gone, which is preferable in a lot of ways. Prismatic Ending also answers a 1-drop for 1 mana on the play or the draw, where Leyline Binding can only do it on the draw and only if you have the correct combination of fetch lands. With Prismatic Ending and Unholy Heat, this is just respecting the early turns of the game a whole lot more than the previous build was. That nitty-gritty analysis of the removal suite aside, 4 Counterspell, 4 Archmage Charm, 6 Teferi's, 4 little ones, 2 big ones, 4 Solitude, main deck Subtlety, another Subtlety in the sideboard. This deck is just trying to stay alive until it wins somehow. Usually with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, though now with Omnath, there's another gear the deck can kick into. This is exactly my style of Magic, and I'm excited to play it here. Mr. Skittles, this is your updated Wrenn White and Blue from Zach Allen. Let's check it out. I'm on the play for round 1 with turn 2 Wrenn 6, backed by a bunch of counterspells. Let's go. Great hand. Fetching in this deck is going to be something I have to get my head around a little bit, because in the previous build, we were specifically trying to support Leyline Binding, so Triome plus Shockland was usually the way to get to 5 types right away. We don't really need to do that here. It's the Cabal Coffers deck. That's the only deck I know that plays Swamp and Expedition map. I need to cast Wrenn 6, and I'd like to cast Counterspell. I generally like leaving Triomes in my deck because you get to draw cards with them later with Wrenn 6 if you don't waste them early. I think I'm just going to get Breeding Pool and Steam Vents, and then Wrenn can pick up one of the fetches right away. And there we go, I drew a Triome. So immediately rewarded with future cards. If the game goes that long, we'll get paid. Events, Wrenn 6. What a Magic card this is, by the way. I do genuinely love that Modern has a number of cards that are banned in Legacy in it that are more appropriate for this format than they are for the other. They've got some options here depending on what they do. A suspended Profane Tutor. That makes an easy Teferi. Yeah, Teferi shuts down Profane Tutor. I also get to bounce this Expedition map for value. You get a Hallowed Fountain here. Huge tempo play. Bounce your map, draw a card, turn off your Profane Tutor, unless you can remove Teferi before it comes off suspend. And I get to pick up the Scalding Tarn again, passing the turn with exactly 7 cards in hand, like Garfield intended. And even if they can kill Teferi, I just drew another one, this Profane Tutor is not going to work. There's map, 2 of a land drop, and they're passing the turn. Cool. We are in business here. Plus Teferi, play Scalding Tarn, and I'm going to plus Wrenn. I have to discard this card anyway, but let's get the loyalty on the Planeswalker. And now we're just in blue-white control mode. The Seiju plus Wrenn can keep Cabal Coffers from going nuts. I have 2 counter spells, and I can cast both of them now. Profane Tutor doesn't work. I got Teferi's and Wrenn's backing up if they can somehow kill one of these things. Profane Tutor failed to go on the stack, as it does. Offers is mana even here. If they don't do anything, I can just cycle Ketria Triome. I was going to fetch Basic Island, but now I don't have to. I can get Hallowed Fountain here. Put it into play tapped. Cycle Triome. Now Wrenn is a straight up draw card. Another counter. Plus Teferi. Because of Boseiju in my hand, I am going to pick up a fetch land and make a normal land drop rather than go for the Triome here. This is 8 cards in my hand. I can Boseiju the coffers in the end step. Just going to pass priority. They're likely to map here, giving priority back. Then they map. I see what they get. Got Urborg. And I'll take this window to wipe out the coffers. Wrenn can emblem next turn. Then I'm just going insane. Yeah, wow. That was disgusting. Opponent never did anything and died. That's how I like to play Magic. I think Celestial Purge, probably good against the mono black deck. Exile target black or red permanent. Sign me up for that. Veil of Summer, like that. Probably want another Boseiju, because you have to treat this like a Tron deck. Unholy Heat is less good. Not a lot of targets for that one. I think they have Karn the Great Creator at the top end. I don't know if that's super important to have Unholy Heat for, because by then I'll have counterspells and stuff. I don't know if they're a Saga deck. Like, I don't actually know how this deck is constructed at this time. I've played it on the channel. I've played against it a number of times, but I'm not full of intimate details. And rather than pull it up on a deck building site and scout it, I'm going to try to navigate this with partial information. Last one I'm thinking about here is Wear Tear. I think I want it. I had 3 Boseijus in this deck, plus all the counter spells. Little Teferi is kind of medium, although it did blow out the Profane Tutor. That's not an effect I need a ton of. Okay, I'm going to try it like this until I have more information about their deck. Boarded out a Teferi, but I still have 2 of them in the hand. Prismatic Ending can snipe an Expedition map on the draw, something that Leyline Binding cannot do. Let's hope this is good. This is why I left them in the deck. Hallowed Fountain, shock it in, they know what's coming. Maybe I'm supposed to fetch Sacred Foundry there instead of go with the Hallowed Fountain, because now if I draw Wrenn next turn, I can't play it. Suspended Profane Tutor. Teferi's going to come down right on time for that. Solitude, okay. I will represent Counterspell here, even though I don't have it. Profane Tutor ticks down. A Thoughtseize won't protect them from Teferi here. Do have their whole engine online, though. Liliana, yikes. Good one. I mean, I have 7 cards in hand to their 3. I have 6 cards in hand to their 3. Sending us both to Hellbent might not work out how they want. I'm going to put Solitude in the graveyard. Wish I had a Wrenn and 6 to just hard counter this with picking up land drops. But I'm about to shut off this Profane Tutor, which I hope they're counting on. In the following turn, I'm able to Prismatic Ending Liliana. I'm holding green. I want red. I'll get Steam Vents here. Imagine if I had the counterspell there. This game would already be over. Oh, fuck you. Wise guy. I have the Teferi. Stuff the Profane Tutor. I get to draw a card, which adds against the Liliana. I have a land I can discard now. Okay. Working out pretty good. So they do have their engine online. They have Urborg plus coffers. Big mana is in their option here. Oh, that was actually nuts. I'm going to discard one of the Heaths. Goes into the Void. Discard a Bloodchief Thirst. A Voidwalker lets me Prismatic Ending and Counterspell next turn. And they missed a land drop. Wow. Oh my god, I drew Omnath. Okay. This is getting crazy. I'm going to plus Teferi. I can take out Voidwalker next turn at instant speed. Am I more worried about Voidwalker next turn or Liliana this turn? I could just ending Liliana and deal with Voidwalker next turn. Oh wait, if I ending the Voidwalker, I don't get to end Liliana ever. Okay, yeah, never mind. I just have to take out Liliana. 3 colors on Liliana, get rid of her. Then Omnath. Win this game for me, big guy. We have 2 cards in hand. We know they're both spells. There's Map. They're clearing Teferi. That puts Teferi into the Void for the future, which is a problem if they get it into play. Not currently a thing they can do. They're mapping. Castle Lockthwain. That's a good one. I am going to fetch here and hope that I draw a fetch land. I get another Hallowed Fountain. Fetch land off the top goes nuts. Wrenn 6. Not a fetch land. Not right away. But it does clear the Voidwalker temporarily. Red-green. Unfortunately, I only have 1 land in the graveyard. The Voidwalker's done its job here. And when I fetch now to play Teferi, I won't get this land back next turn. Oh, wait. They have Urborg in play. Don't need to fetch. Played around it. Okay, we're all set for Omnath next turn. Bounce the Voidwalker. Big Teferi. Starting to take over here. There's 1 mystery card in their hand that they were not able to cast previously, and now they have extra mana, extra swamps and stuff. Oak Despair. Sacrifice a creature. If they can't, they lose 2 life, and you draw a card. Complete this process for an enchantment and a planeswalker. Okay. I will sacrifice Teferi Time Raveler. They drew a bunch of cards. That's not a big deal. I can shove Teferi this turn and win easily. And I get all 3 modes of Omnath this turn. That's pretty nice. Blue, red, green, Omnath, a card, fetch, get basic island, gain 4 life. Then I'm going to plus Wrenn on the Scalding Tarn in my graveyard. Hide the information. This gives me the mana, which casts the Teferi, which holds up the counterspell. Perfectly reasonable stuff happening here. Veil of Summer is in my hand now. Do I want to deal 4 to them? I don't think I even care about that. I'd rather have life. Okay, I'm holding up Counterspell and Veil of Summer against the mono black deck. 2 Planeswalkers active. 3 if you count Omnath. So they do have literally 1 billion mana. Arn the Great Creator. I'm going to fetch in response to this and Counterspell it. It gains me 4 life. I'm leaving up green. I didn't need to fetch, but I did. So my opponent should suspect Veil of Summer here. 2 Voidwalkers. Okay. Those creatures have Shadow. Wear Tear. Alright, wish I had that when the Karn was on the stack. It's all good though. I can tuck one of the Voidwalkers. I don't think I care though. Just going to draw a card with Teferi. Hope it's a removal spell. Of course it was a removal spell. Why would it be anything else? And I'll get my Omnath life. Back for 4. These creatures can't interact with each other in combat. Then fetch for my Omnath mana. I got plenty to do with it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 10 mana if I don't shock in. I have 11 mana if I do. Solitude plus Rockruin Triumph Cycle is only 8 mana. Not going to shock here. Enjoy my 3 mana. Cast Solitude. Is that one of these Voidwalkers? And my Triumph ends up in the Void here, which I don't love. But I can't stop that. I currently have a bunch of excess mana. Okay. Maybe putting Kahira in hand was better than cycling. Cascading Cataracts. Golos just became a monster. They're Lockthwaining from Hellbent here. They're at 18 life. They do have a lot of mana and a lot of life to work with. I'd very much like to find a Beseiju before it's too late. There's Golos. That's scary. Golos can start being activated next turn. I have Werechair. Can answer that one. There is basic plane still in my deck to fetch with the Flooded Strand. Putting damage on Teferi makes sense. Oh, they changed their mind. Nope, they redecided. Back in for Teferi violence. I am just gonna wear Golos in the end step. Get out of here. Back up Teferi. Okay. I'm gonna do Omnath stuff first. So that's one less land in my deck that I could draw with the Teferi activation. I'm going to get basic planes here, leaving Ketria Triumph in the deck, hoping to cycle it again someday. Plus Teferi. Found a land. Wrenn has no targets in the graveyard. Put Kahira in my hand. Kahira gives me big damage on the board. Plus Wrenn and 6 on nothing. My creatures have Vig and they're larger. My hand is kind of goop right now. Veil of Summer does some stuff. I'm not going to spew off a Teferi because doing that puts the other Teferi into the void for them. Sounds like a nightmare. And spending my backup card to maybe draw an action spell. Thoughtseize. Well, I'll Veil of Summer. I've been waiting my whole life for this moment. Sick. I can purge the Voidwalker now. They're going to lock Thwain down to 8. Uh-oh. What's in the void that they would cast right now? Oh, there's a Teferi in there. Pretty annoying. Who plays that card, honestly? All right, well, that resolves, and anything that happens now is protected by Teferi. Minus on nothing. Are they playing to a Damnation? Oh, okay. I don't know. I guess, I mean, Kahira is pretty free to bounce. Oh no, Hexproof from Blue and Black. Of course they bounce nothing. Veil of Summer strikes again. Okay. That got pretty scary in the late game. They had a card advantage engine going, zillions of mana. I was out of counter spells, but the overwhelming advantage paid off. Thank you, one of Omnath. On to the next round. If you've ever wanted to learn how to play poker, there's no better way than PokerCoaching.com's Master the Fundamentals course, which I'm excited to give all of you for free. This course is separated into 19 short sections that will make sure you understand everything you need to know to play well and beat your friends. The first section is on the rules of the game, then you'll learn about hand ranges, equity, basic strategies, and a whole lot more. By the end of the course, you'll know everything you need to know in order to give you the best chance of success at No Limit Hold'em. Check out the link in the video description to PokerCoaching.com/free crash course. On the play in round 2 with a handful of fun interaction. This hand rules. I'm in. I'm going to lead on Scalding Tarn. Sacred Foundry gets me white and can Unholy Heat on turn 1 if I need to do that. Leaving all my options open. A green mana. Oh, it's this. It's Amulet. Okay. Dress Down is one of the best cards that there is against Amulet. And Unholy Heat and Solitude are not bad either. All of these things answer Primeval Titan, which is the name of the game. I'm going to get Hallowed Fountain since they didn't make me use my Steam Vents. Another Solitude. I am going to zap in Steam Vents. Start representing interaction. And I actually do have interaction. I have Dress Down. If they were to go off here somehow. Dress Down covers the Saga backup plan. Right of the Elysian Grove. Okay. Oh, they passed priority without making their extra land drop. I know there's a forest in their hand. I'm going to Solitude this Dryad right now while we're in combat. Having the Dress Down gives me some comfort here. That starts to add creature or card types to the graveyard for heat. Okay. I'm going to bounce their Urza Saga with Teferi. Try to set them back another turn of development while adding to my board and drawing cards. Okay, as long as I don't die right now, we're good. Saga's back. No Dryad to hang out with it this time. Cool. Expressive iteration. I think I just got to do this. Red, blue, hope to hit a land. Got there on land. Do I just want 2 lands here with the Archmage Charm? Or like lose the Archmage Charm, keep the 2 lands? Or Archmage Charm can draw cards. Alright, Charm to my hand, Triumph to the bottom, exile Windswept Heath and play it. And plus to Fairy, I can kill an Amulet at instant speed with Ending. Dress Down's probably still a better path to win the game with, but that is there if I want it. Lycosynth Gardens, alright, the new tech is on the scene. If they try to copy their Amulet with Gardens, I can light it up. I think I want Hallowed Fountain here. I'll just keep getting blue sources. Hit my land drop, all natural. Exactly how I wanted to do it. I'm holding up Charm and Dress Down, or Counterspell and Charm, or Dress Down and Ending. There's a lot going on here, is what I'm saying. Moving in on some constructs. Another round of constructs. I'm going to fetch my basic island in response. I don't think they have a Pithing Needle, but let's just make sure they don't. Amulet of Vigor's in play now. And attack to Fairy, which means I can Ending the Amulet and dress down the squad right now. Leaves them with 6 cards in hand. I really don't like using Dress Down this early, but that does give me Delirium. Okay, I will use Dress Down this early. Because Delirium gives me Unholy Heat, which clears the prime time. Do I just want to hit Amulet now? Probably. Can't currently copy it. The only reason I'd wait is to see if they sink mana into copying it with Gardens. But I could also just not care instead. Backup Saga, okay. Dress Down goes away. There's another Dress Down in the deck. Wrenn and 6, alright, party started. Plus to Fairy. Red, green gives me Wrenn. Wrenn gives me Flooded Strand, which is either basic if I want it, or anything at all. Starting to pull ahead, though they are also getting resources here. And everything I've said about Dress Down, Unholy Heat, Solitude, battling Primetime, all of that assumes Cavern of Souls is part of the game, because if it's not, then I just counter the Primetime and I don't even worry about this stuff. This one's going to be Sacred Foundry. I think I do want to draw 2 cards here. And the Charm can steal Saga stuff, but so can the other Dress Down. I play 4 Charms. Digging into Omnath is the kind of gas I'd like in the tank. Blue, white, yeah, blue, red, green, white. I want to make sure I'm leaving up blue, blue. Here's Omnath. Now I'm not worried about some mopey little constructs, and they're done. They're good on the Omnath. Cool. Subtlety is great in this matchup. That stops prime time, even if they do have Cavern. Wear Tear fights Saga, it fights Dryad, it fights Amulet. The Seiju against the lands deck, obviously. Supreme Verdict is good too. It's good with Teferi, Time Raveler, and if they go wide on some of the like mopey backup plan, I can just clear all that out. What to cut is more interesting here. Solitude is one of my primary win conditions. Prismatic Ending, probably only solid if they hang an Amulet out there, or if I have little Teferi in play. Do like all the counter spells. Dress Down's great. Maybe I can back off of Solitude if I have all these Heats in my deck. Or is it the other way around? I can back off of Heat because I have all these Solitudes in my deck. There's probably a correct way to do this, like an identifiable worse removal spell, rather than trim across all of them. Heat and Solitude can each conditionally answer a Primetime. Prismatic Ending can slow them down from delivering Primetime, and it's effective against their backup plans. Yeah, I think I'd rather respect Plan A more than the backup plans, and I'm playing a deck that can battle the Primetime, the payoff, so I don't need to focus a ton of energy on stopping the Amulet from being in play. And I'm bringing in 2 removal spells and taking out 2 removal spells that hit Amulet, so yeah, this makes sense to me. Yeah, I got the Subtlety. Ready to go. First Primetime is covered, at least temporarily. All right, we've got the Turbo Amulet start. I am just going to play Ketria Triome on the draw against Amulet when they have a turn 1 Amulet. I'm not going to be messing around with, maybe I'll cycle it one day. It's also my only second blue source, in case I find a counterspell. Alright, Gardens can copy Amulet, then they can tutor an Amulet. They can have 3 Amulets at the start of turn 3. This is awesome. And it sucks for me, but I'm excited for them. Okay, I'm representing Boseiju and Subtlety. I'll fetch Basic Island in response here. Don't think there's a universe where they're getting Pitting Needle, but just to be safe. Rips Amulet on turn 3. Let's see where this goes. I am thankful for the Subtlety that's in my hand. Oh wow, that's kind of a slow start. Just Vesuva copy my Ketria Triome. This is not the Eru they would have liked to have. Riot of the Elysian Grove. The fairy can bounce that next turn, or I can Veseiju it in the end step. I have to let this ride for now. Just a Valakut with no... Valakut is good for 3 more mana. I'm like, yeah, just a Valakut, just a Black Lotus. Got it. A Black Lotus that stays around for a while. Second Dryad. Okay. It gives them another land drop. Not super stoked about Beseijuing one of these, but I think I have to. I Beseiju one, and then I Teferi the other. Giving them more mana here when they clearly were about to miss a land drop kind of sucks. Okay, I think Sacred Foundry, Zap Dryad with Teferi is the play. Just trying to slow them down wherever I can. And that back, draw a card. And low on blue cards in my hand, and I'm not close to Delirium right now. What? Really? All the cards in your hand, the Dryad, the triple amulet, you're just done? Don't even want to try this? Okay, I mean, it's your life to live, opponent. I felt like this was tenuously stable to behind to a draw, but I don't know what's in their hand. So GG's, on to the next one.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
On the play for round number 3 with turn 2 Wrenn and 6. Good start. Keep. And I'm going to do the thing where I fetch Breeding Pool, use Sacred Foundry to cast Wrenn and 6, and keep this Triome in my hand for future card advantage considerations. It would be really easy and tempting to just drop Rockrin Triome here. Like, it's turn 1, I'm not using the mana anyway, get my triple land into play tapped. But you don't need the triple land, and you might need cards later. I suspect that Triomes in these 4-color decks are one of the most misplayed cards. They're only barely there for fixing. They're there to cycle and go off with Wrenn and 6 in the late game. Opponent kept 7, and we're off to the races. Firebluff Canal. Alright, we got a little Ragavan for me. Doesn't look like it. Breeding Pool, tapped. They could Spell Pierce here. I'm just going to hope that they are holding up either nothing or Consider. I'm not going to not shove my spell. Because if they Spell Pierce Wrenn and 6, it's Spell Pierce they don't have for Teferi, and some amount of the time it's just going to resolve. Can't live in fear. I have my nut draw. Execute it. And if this was Steam Vents and they paid 2 life, I would have a little more information. Spiral of Canal is just like, it could have just been their land drop, and they have nothing. Which appears to be the case. Got a Ledger Shredderino. I'm going to fetch my basic lanes this turn, play Teferi with. Sometimes is it main decks Blood Moon. I just don't want to be caught completely off guard by that. Having a plains around gets me set up in the general direction of Prismatic Ending, and we're cooking. Having Teferi in play versus this deck makes things so much easier. Iteration. They're going to have to spend some amount of effort clearing the Teferi before half their deck even functions. A lot of counterspells in this list. They had to go to cleanup after the EI. They hit their land drop and just dumped a card. I like that outcome for me. Blooded Strand. It's going to fetch an island immediately. Blood Moon is not going to get me this game. plus Teferi, plus Wrenn. I'm going to discard one of these Besagers. Not a card I need two of. Already playing around Blood Moon, and I have it answered through the second Besaju and the Prismatic Ending, if I even want to remove it at all, which I do. You can't actually play through Blood Moon for very long, but you can get yourself set up to remove it. Next turn, I'm going to be hardcasting Solitudes with Teferi up still. Another Rei. On Spire Bluff Canal that comes into play tapped. They have 8 cards in hand again, and they're just done. Okay. This has been just slicing up the competition. Okay, Supreme Verdict, great for this matchup. I should assume Blood Moon is coming. Probably like Fury, Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer, Fury are in my maybes. Celestial Purge hits Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Channeler. Doesn't hit Murktide or Ledger Shredder. Also the Void, strong against their deck. It turns off my own heats, which is something I didn't have to worry about last time I played this deck. But it shuts off so much of what they're doing. I already have a bunch of answers to Blood Moon. I don't think I need Wear Tear in here as well. Celestial Purge answers Blood Moon. What do I take out here? Rest Down does very little in this matchup. Subtlety is fine, but doesn't do like a ton. I could shave Heats so I'm not stepping on my own chalices, but Heat is probably in the deck to respect this matchup at least a little bit. I'm bringing in more removal over the Heats. Fury is an exciting card I can cast under Blood Moon, though maybe I don't have room for that. Just Chalice and removal in. Feels weird to board in removal and cut removal. There's something better I can do here. I mean, Solitude seems great. Maybe Counterspell is clunky on the draw against this matchup, but I like having counterspells. All right, I'm going to roll with it. I have a bunch of interaction for 1-drops anyway. The other option is just don't bring in Chalice and keep all your 1-drop removal. I will keep this hand. It doesn't cast Wrenn and 6 currently, but I play a lot of lands and I can answer a 1-drop. And I can play around Blood Moon while I do it. There it is. Nasty Monkey. Another ending for the next Nasty Monkey. Next one might dash, though. Playing Ottawa as their land, usually a sign of weakness. But I can end this Shredder as well. Okay, sweet. Getting land drops, we're doing stuff. I'm going to start working on this Wrenn and 6 now. I'll get Steam Vents here. Still Prismatic Ending. We're halfway to Wrenn next turn, starting to build out the blue sources. They played Ottawa instead of any other land, which means they don't have another land. They found that land this turn, would be my guess. I've got 2 Wrenns. I'm not that worried about one of them getting countered. Breeding Pool in here. And I am about to start missing land drops if I don't get something going here. Counterspell's fine. If they followed up with Blood Moon, it's a little annoying. I do have 1 basic Plains and Prismatic Ending here, but that would be a tough thing to wade through for the time that it takes to get through it. Consider in the end step, 2 cards left in their hand, plus whatever they get with Consider. Milled an Unholy Heat. They found a second island. Now Blood Moon's actually really bad for me. They tapped their islands to cast it. That's strange, but who am I to judge? Yep. Looks like they got me with the Blood Moon. If I find one of my 2 islands, I can get out of this or start drawing red removal. Obviously, a normal blue-white deck that wasn't splashing for Wrenn would have just gotten basic island with that second fetch and been fine here. But trying to get my Wrenn through cost me. Or you just rip the basic immediately. Good stuff. Prismatic Ending is more important than Teferi. I'm going to lead on Teferi and test what they've got. Got a counterspell. Okay. Working my way through this. Hashing Rag. That's disappointing. That does make one of the cards in their hand Ragavan and not counterspell. They're down 2 counterspells already. Rag, hit, Expressive Iteration, get out of town. That's a really good card. So if they cast it, they will be putting the counterspell shields down. Okay, off you go. They found Consider. Okay, they're tapping all the way out here. I will remove the Blood Moon this turn. If I draw any land, I can also play Wrenn and 6 this turn. Come on, any land. Counterspell, bummer. Okay. Well, I'm required to remove the Blood Moon or else this game's going nowhere. Might have found another by now. Who knows? Can't Spell Pierce with the mana they have. I don't think these decks normally have Force of Negation in them. Yeah, disappointing. No Wrenn and 6 in play right now. I would have made this game a lot easier. Or not holding up Counterspell right now. Might have been what I did with my mana instead. They don't play only one Blood Moon. So hopefully they just sent one away with EI and they don't have another one. Ragavan's here. Don't take any good cards, please. Rag gets Chalice of the Void. They're not going to cast that. Or they could put it on 2, probably. That's actually pretty serious for me. But they have Ledger Shredder's counterspells in their deck. That's too bad. That card would have been really good here. Back it up with counterspell, lock the Ragavan out forever. They're thinking hard about Chalice on 2. The dangerous thing about them putting Chalice into play on any number is I am a Teferi deck, and if I bounce Chalice, I get it back and I can set it to my number. Murktide Regent. Okay. That's a powerful creature. And they did not Chalice. Good call. How about a white source deck? Okay. I'm not upset with that. All right, I'm going to try to get Wrenn down. Still, on the flip side of these basic lands is they don't cast my spells. Now I'm in there. Pick up Flooded Strand. And I'm probably going to pitch Kira to end this Murktide. I should do that now if I'm doing it. I could pitch Verdict and put Kahira in front of Ragavan. Yeah, I actually just have to answer the... Okay, I'm going to pitch Kahira. I have to answer the Murktide. I'm at 10. They're a Lightning Bolt deck. Not a place I can be. Get rid of this. I will probably counterspell Ragavan. Doesn't feel good, but it's got to go. Cashing that thing is causing a lot of problems for me with this sorcery speed removal in my hand. Here comes the Rag. I will try to counterspell it. Wide open to Spell Pierce every single thing. But here we go. The worst case scenario is second Rag and I unlock a legend in their hand. He's in Pyromancer. Okay. Supreme Verdict cleans this up. That's fine. Discarded a Lightning Bolt. Cool. Definitely needed to clear that Murktide. I would have been dead. Counter spell plus target Scalding Tarn. I have to fetch Shock because I don't have a second white source here. If I'm going to Supreme Verdict this, which I am going to do, I want a second red. I have a lot of blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have enough to counterspell and Archmage Charm. Having only one red means I can't EI into Omnath or Unholy Heat. I have Wrenn going. I can get red if I need it. I'll get Hallowed Fountain. And clear this out. Doesn't feel great to use Supreme Verdict on that, but I'm at 9 life. No time to goof around here. Wrenn is ticking up over there. The modern builds of this deck aren't on 4 Murktide Regent. They play lower on the curve than that for the most part, and one of them's already answered. Not like the Legacy deck that just maxes out on that one. We haven't seen a Dragon's Rage Channeler yet. I doubt that means they don't play it. It's just interesting that we haven't seen it. They have to find room for all the creatures they play somewhere. The Seasoned Pyromancer is interesting. Use of a flex slot, that's not in every version of this. Daddy needs an Omnath here. Or a Blood Moon. Tapping out for that, I will counter it. And that's just a clean use of a turn cycle. I play a lot of answers. That's not even true. I drew all 3 of the prismatic endings I left in my deck. And Boseiju doesn't work if Blood Moon's already down. So yeah, I guess that was a must counter. I'll just tick up with Wrenn and hide behind my counter spells now. They saw this counter spell that I drew with the Bauble. They know about that one. Their Bauble. I'm already at 6, dead to double bolt. I have 2 fetches before I have to stop fetching. Being at 3 is very different than being at 4. And Wrenn is 2 turns away from embleming. Fetch for Hallowed Fountain tap. Lots of blue mana available. They didn't actually see a card because I shuffled. It's going to bolt me here. So they're going to heat Wrenn. They are delirious. I think Wrenn is important. I'm going to use the counterspell that they know about here. Right, immediately drew a second Wrenn. Pick up the Flooded Strand again. Now Wrenn is out of heat range. And Heat's still annoying, but like I can't emblem, but Wrenn doesn't die. And step dress down, just trying to draw cards. Got it. That means any Ragavan they dash on their turn will still have haste, but won't steal my cards. Murktide Regent will arrive as a 3/3, no matter how many cards they delve. Dragon's Rage Channeler doesn't surveil. A little strange. And if you have to draw the card, you have to draw the card. But like main phasing it, my second main phase lets all your cards work on your turn. They're frantically digging right now for an answer to this Wrenn and 6 who's about to pop. And they don't know I have another counterspell in hand. And they're running out of mana to fight back. They binned Expressive Iteration. They realized they don't have time to... Wait, no, they didn't. Was that from last turn? Or no, the EI found the Islet. They kept their card on top. Okay, good to know. Moment of truth. What did we find? Ledger Shredder. That doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to give them Ledger Shredder. If they've been sandbagging an Unholy Heat, I've got to protect this Wrenn. It's been my whole plan for quite some time. I'm going to fetch now. And now I actually do just need perfect mana, and the Wrenn emblem will be my card advantage. I'll get Rockran Triome at this point. Go to my turn. Through the other Triome. That's cool. Emblem Wrenn. And play the other Wrenn. Blue-red. Or red-green. I'm just saying random sounds. Red-green. Give Spell Snare. Okay. I can counterspell that. Counterspell Prismatic Ending. I have to counterspell this. Or does using the Archmage Charm make more sense? I mean, this Wrenn is resolving. I just have to figure out how. I still have my land drop for the turn. If I cast Charm, that'll leave up 3 mana. I can plus Wrenn, fetch Shock to 1 in case I need to counterspell again. Discard Ketria Triumph or Prismatic Ending. Yeah, I'm going to Charm from hand and hope that I counted this correctly. They get a Connive off of this. And up at 1 life if I need to counterspell. Oh shit, my last fetchable land is Sacred Foundry. This doesn't even work. Okay. I'm glad I noticed that before I committed to it. But it's still bad. Wrenn and 6 plus get back Flooded Strand. And Prismatic Ending has to happen here. Blue. I'm going to discard the Flooded Strand. Hide whatever information I can. And this is it. If they dash Ragavan and bolt me, they're in business. I have Supreme Verdicts going nuts. If they just Murktide. Yeah, tight spot here. Emergency draw a card. I'll Fire Islet. I like that. The third basic. We've been through 2 Blood Moons already. That's usually the number they have. If I get to discard it, or untap, I think I'm good. Okay. Looks like I'm good to go here. Found a Solitude. Pick up Flooded Strand, which is actually just any spell I want it to be. And now we're in business. I'm not gonna like start firing off EIs or whatever. It doesn't matter. I have 2 counter spells, 2 Archmage's Charms, whatever I need here, backed up by Solitude. They're doing Season Pyromancer stuff in my end step. Does put me to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna Solitude one of these now. While Counterspell is not part of the game. Remember, this is the same game where they like turn 4 Blood Mooned me, and I just didn't do anything for several turns, and we're still in this position. That's the resilience of this deck. Trying to think of what combination of cards they could have right now. Oh wow, using Lightning Bolt to clear Solitude instead of my face is interesting. I'm going to counter this Lightning Bolt. Yeah, them using Lightning Bolt on... Yeah, that's fine. On that instead of me is cool. If they have another Lightning Bolt, I'm dead. For Xaxes, if true. Okay, moment of truth. Did they get there? Subtlety in creature mode. Alright, I'm just going to Supreme Verdict with Counterspell up. In trouble to the next Lightning Bolt. But I hope there's not a next Lightning Bolt. Turn Flooded Strand to my hand. Use it to cast Supreme Verdict. Holding up Counterspell. Yeah, I'm not going to EI yet. I might start doing that next turn. Tapped Canal. Subtlety in creature mode. I can just Supreme Verdict that too. I could also counterspell that, but I don't need to. If their last card in hand is Lightning Bolt, then that would be very silly of me to just fire off my last piece of interaction here. I'm just going to go to my turn and play careful. Now I have a counterspell in my hand. I'm going to do that same thing again. I'm just going to Supreme Verdict. Or I guess Prismatic Ending is the same mana and gets rid of it differently. Blue, white, green, red. This one's counterable is the difference, but I think they're out of gas. I could get a second Wrenn emblem. That doesn't do anything, but it's fun. I could also just... They're likely to just deck out here before they find a way to kill me. From the position we're in. I'm going to purge this rag. Exile that. One card left. Even if it is a counterspell, I can counter back. Or just refire the purge from my graveyard. Wrenn emblem is messed up. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of playing with this effect before, but it's good. Boshne'roll. That's another spell. I'm going to pick up Scalding Tarn and use it to cast Expressive Iteration. It's time to start really putting the screws in here. Archmage's Arm to my hand. Scalding Tarn to the bottom. Exile Chalice the Void. Chalice on 1. Shuts off Lightning Bolt. And I pass the turn holding up 2 counterspells. I could have even played Boshne'roll as my land pretty safely, but that doesn't even help. Yeah, I go for it. Zelda Polluted Delta. I suppose they still have some fetchables, maybe? It might be out, actually. How many Steam Vents does this deck play? I don't think it's all 4. Maybe it is. They're going to spend a few seconds here assessing their deck and then concede. All right, yeah, they failed to find. And they're done. Cool. Just run them out of threats. That was the same game that we got Blood Moon. It didn't do anything for a while. But we're able to play through it, eventually remove it, and then take over. At a lower life total than I would have liked, but just pushed right through a Blood Moon. GG's. We remain undefeated. Let's roll. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and every other format you'll see on this channel. They have multiple customizations so you can view your deck how you want. Text view, stacks, grid, custom grouping by type, subtype, color, light mode, dark mode. However you want to see your deck, they can provide it for you. My favorite feature is you can choose your set printing, make the deck look exactly how you want it to. The deck screen features expandable sections that show you what tokens your deck makes, your recent change history to the deck, stats about mana curve and opening hand distribution, mana cost distribution. You can deal out sample hands and even play test the deck. Island Ponder. You know I'm keeping this one. This site has everything. Follow me on Moxfield.com to keep up with decks I'm playing for the channel and what I'm up to in paper. I'll see you there. It's round 4, and I once again find myself on the play with a Wrenn and 6. Let's go. I'm going to lead on Windswept Heath because Flooded Strand is the better fetch if I need to get basics. And Heath can get the Breeding Pool, which I'm likely to go for here. Chrome Coast. Okay, is this Blue Hammer? Sure is. Okay, they're going to get a card off my Wrenn, but I also get to kill the Sentinel for free. Breeding Pool tapped. Ooh, okay. I think having Wrenn and 6 is still better. I could take the Sentinel without giving them a card here. I don't think I care about that. Okay, Steam Vents for Counterspell or Sacred Foundry for Prismatic Ending. Archmage Charm is in my hand, and Wrenn and 6 gets my mana perfect anyway, so I'll stick with the blue lands. Green red, enjoy your magic card. I cannot pay the 1. Reclaim that magic card by pinging your magic card and still having 1 left over. Having the Boshne'roll in hand already. Pretty great start here. Portable hole. My hole! Good thing I have another Wrenn ready to go. Still have more. Relic of Progenitus. That's annoying. Good thing I have 2 fetch lands in there. I will get rid of the Windswept Heath and enjoy the Flooded Strand while I can. Okay. This costs 1. Yes, it does. Red, other Wrenn. Pick up the Flooded Strand. And I could Prismatic Ending the Relic right now. I think I want to do that because that keeps Wrenn going. And I am going to get Hallowed Fountain to do it because of the blue requirements in my hand. Get rid of that before it really does anything. Might regret losing that removal spell later, but having Boseiju, Archmage's Charm, Teferi going here, be nice. Plains, Springleaf Drum, okay. M-Knight, okay. This is where it gets dicey. Okay, I drew a land for turn. That's a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna ping Memnite, and if they float mana, I'll move to my other phase. If they make a construct, I'll bounce the construct with Teferi, and then they would need to come up with both hammer and a creature with haste for me to be worried about it next turn. I could also just take the construct, but I think this is the cleanest Teferi we're gonna get in this matchup. Rid of that, then I'll play Flooded Strand and pass the turn. They can tutor up Gingerbrute with Saga if they're already holding multiple. Okay, they're not. Yeah, if they already had Sigarda's Aid and Hammer, they could make a bunch of scary stuff happen there. I'm going to continue fetching blue sources because I have 5 pips with blue in my hand. Then I'm going to just F6 through this turn. I don't have Solitude right now, and if they read that I'm F6ing, they're going to play like I don't have Solitude, but I could draw it later. Tutor to Springleaf Drum, pulling my Wrenn. It's fine. I can Boseiju the whole, pick up the Boseiju. I don't think I have a second untapped green source in the deck, other than more Boseijus. I don't. Yeah, I should actually fetch the Ketria Triome. Okay, so play Scalding Tarn. I'm gonna hold up. Do I hold up Boseiju this turn? Yeah, I should probably protect myself with Boseiju this turn until I have the double green to make it work. I'll just hold up Archmage Charm and protect myself with Teferi for now. They can't Blacksmith Skill with Teferi in play. That doesn't change anything. It just makes my charm cost 1 more. They have blue in the pool. Is it time for your Teferi? Thought Monitor, my goodness. I was not ready for this. Yeah, this is not where I thought this was about to go. Fair enough. I could counter... No, I'm gonna stick to my guns here. My plan is to steal the construct, fetch Ketria Triome, and then go off with Boseiju and take control of the game from there. Moonsnare Prototype as Moonsnare Prototype. You got it. I wonder how far they can go into their deck here. I'm gonna let them go into combat. They're ignoring Teferi going from my face. Good call. Control of target permanent. Blue, 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 plus the 1 from Esper Sentinel, which I am definitely going to pay this time. And I'll take that, thank you. Second Esper Sentinel, right on time. Fetching Ketria Triome now, getting my green sources set up for a multi-Boseiju extravaganza. Like a prismatic ending, too. Okay, what's the best way to do this? I could save Boseiju. If I pay 3 for prismatic ending to clear one of these holes, then I can ping Esper Sentinel, block Esper Sentinel, and Boseiju the Thought Monitor. Yeah, I think hiding the Boseiju makes a lot of sense here. Portable hole. Exile that. I will pay all of the tolls. Get back Wrenn. Wrenn kills Esper Sentinel. And now I have a blocker and a Boseiju activation. And if they pressure Wrenn, I don't actually care because I can get the other one back out of the hole next turn. Based on Thought Monitor, I'm thinking this is not actually a hammer deck. This is more of an affinity deck with the hammer kind of shell. Genius Smith. This card's really good. Can I answer it in a way that I'm happy with? Probably not. I am actually just going to counterspell this and let happen what will this turn. Counterspell, paying the toll. Okay, if they are a hammer deck, they got me. If they're not, I feel good about that play. They can clear Wrenn and 6 with Thought Monitor this turn. I hope they look that way and don't worry about the Teferi. They are clearing Wrenn. Good deal. And we're into my turn. Aggressive Iteration is a card I enjoy. Do I think they've been sitting on spells that Teferi locks out? Probably. So Boseiju on the whole. Get my Wrenn back, but this does give them a land, which they haven't made a land drop since turn 2. It's currently turn 7. Boseiju, or Wrenn pick up Boseiju, plus Teferi. And I think I just pass here. Leave my blocker up, leave my Boseiju up. And then I can EI into the Esper Sentinel comfortably next turn. On land number 4, am I suddenly getting Urzud? That's the thing that could happen right now. Nettle Cyst. Okay. I don't care about that. The fairy answers that cleanly. Boseiju answers that cleanly. Second Nettle Cyst. This is fun. Okay. That's suddenly a lot of power on the board. But I have multiple Boseijus and a deck full of removal. I don't hate my position here. They're finally out of cards. And I will Boseiju this Thought Monitor if it attacks. Just want to keep the loyalty on all of my stuff. Okay. Light that up. And now they went suddenly from 2 mana to 7, and the 8th mana is not going to make a difference, I don't think. Nettle Cyst costs 2 to equip, so they can move one of these over onto Esper Sentinel. That just lets Teferi clear 2 things instead of 1. Yeah, they decided against it. Cool. Okay, I'll begin my turn. Oh, nice. Good start. I'm going to start by bouncing one of the germs. Not the Nettle Cyst, the germ. So maybe it's better to bounce Nettle Cyst, actually. Kind of close. I found a second Teferi, so we're just good to go. Pick off the Sentinel. And fire off an EI here. Put the Boseiju in my hand. Solitude on the bottom. Exile Archmage's Charm. I can steal this germ token, which isn't actually good, but it is a temporary relief. It's actually fine, because they're empty. If they draw any creature, they can re-equip Nettle Cyst, and I lose my germ. But for now, their Nettle Cyst is attached to my germ until they find a creature to attach it to themselves. And they didn't. Cool. Got a little surprised with the Thought Monitor mid-game there, but managed to make our way through it anyway. Fury, Supreme Verdict, Wear Tear, Boseiju all come in. Rest Down's good, Counterspell, solid. Teferi's actually pretty medium in this sort of matchup. It was solid that whole game, but that doesn't mean it's better than a sideboard card, which it's not. Subtlety not really for this matchup. The Unholy Heats and Prismatic Endings, all this one-man interaction seems great. Wrenn was an all-star. Maybe it's Counterspell. I can just play to the board a little better after board here. It's either a third Teferi or one of the Counterspells, and yeah, this is cool with me. In we go. My opening hand does not cast Wrenn, but I don't have Wrenn. I have a removal spell and a Dress Down and a Boseiju. I'm going to keep... I do need a fetch land to tie this together. I play a lot of those. Let's chase it. A fetch land for Ketria Triome gets me in business here, and this matchup is fast enough, low enough to the ground that getting perfect mana early makes sense over waiting to cycle it later. Esper Sentinel start. Okay. There's Wrenn. Right on time. I'm not going to give them an extra card to clear the Esper Sentinel. We'll see what shakes loose. Springleaf Drum. They did mulligan to 6. They're down 2 cards on me here. If I can be alive still. Alright, looks like they'll end up getting a card off me after all. And Pithing Needle. Okay. Probably naming Wrenn or Boseiju. The wild swing would be Flooded Strand, which I don't have, but could screw me. Engineered Explosives, a card not appearing in my deck. Perfect. And it's a smart name. I'm not making fun of my opponent here. It's just not a card that I have. Okay, if I Prismatic Ending, it'll cost me 2 life and give them 1 card. I think I have to start working through these. I really hate giving them a card after they've put so much into the early dump here. But we've seen Thought Monitor is removing an artifact from play, and just less damage that I take. All that matters. If I had a white card, I would have seriously considered pitching Solitude first, so they get 0 cards off of that. That's how much I value them not drawing more cards. I'm about to have to use Boseiju as a land drop, which is not really where I want to be, but it does get me halfway to Wrenn. Okay, looks like that is where we are as a society. I could put Kahira in my hand or hold up Counterspell or Dress Down. I think I'd rather Dress Down. I can Dress Down in the end step, pay for Esper Sentinel, then have a turn on my turn where I don't have to pay for Esper Sentinel. They're not exactly bringing the ruckus here. If they Thought Monitor, I can stuff it. That makes me not want to Dress Down now, but it's what I've signed up for. I need to hit my land drop. Found the land. That turns on Wrenn. Okay, well, now we're cooking. I can fetch Shock, clear the Esper Sentinel. Oh, I used Windswept Heath. I wanted Game Vents there, but luckily this works out the same. And clear the Esper Sentinel now, hold up Counterspell, and I have to beat this Saga and whatever their one last card in their hand is. Portable Hole. I have more Wrens where that came from. That's fine. And if they attack, then they can't Saga, so they're not going to attack. Call. Okay, I think I need to EI here. Or I could just play basic Island and cast Solitude. I think that sounds good to me. They get a Construct. Go to your turn. Another Construct. I'll respond to this one. They gain one less life this way. Sure, they're glad this wasn't Dressed Down. It does take the pressure off for the turn, unless they have a Blacksmith skill or something, which they have not indicated they're a deck that does that. Okay, what's the tutor? Do you have a Shadow Spear? Relic's good. Yeah, that stuffs my Wrenn. It can also just draw a card. There's no combat going to happen here. And we're in my turn. Prismatic Ending. Cool. That, at the very least, stabilizes me against the Construct, but let's EI and see what comes out first. I will put Archmage's Charm, or do I need that? Fairy is really good against the Construct as well. I actually think I want Boseiju in hand, Charm on the bottom, exile to Fairy. I'll play my land for turn, and then play to Fairy. Move the Construct. And leaving Solitude back to block. I don't gain 3 life, but I get to keep Teferi around. I'll just pass. The best case scenario is if they panic and draw a card with Relic, and then my graveyard's unlocked and I don't have to waste a Prismatic Ending on this Relic. Alright, cool, perfect. That's what I was looking for. Next turn I can Boseiju the hole, get back Wrenn, buy back Boseiju, etc. Which means this Flooded Strand has to get Ketria Triumph. Oh, you've got a little Teferi action too. That's disappointing. Okay. Well, if they bounce Solitude to clear my Teferi, then I have Solitude in my hand, which is an excellent card in the matchup. Yeah, I'm not even upset about this. Deal. End step, I'll get the Triumph. Tria. And let's see. Solitude. I could clear the Teferi, but I can do that anytime and I barely care about it. Drew another Teferi as well. I think I know. So I could Teferi, bounce Portable Hole, minus Wrenn to kill Teferi. And this Memnite is floating around in the middle. Yeah, I like this. My Teferi, bounce your Portable Hole, which kills Teferi. And I have a land drop. Could replay Portable Hole. Like I said last turn, I don't actually care about my Teferi that much. I do care about them having Teferi, though. My deck likes its instance quite a bit. Memnite attacking Teferi. Yes, happens. There's a Saga. Okay. I have Boseiju for that. Genius Smith, Counterspell. I have a lot of respect for this card. I'm going to get a basic island to counter it. There's the Portable Hole. Got it. I could Boseiju in response to Hole Trigger, and then Wrenn never leaves play. Like if Wrenn was on 6, I would do it that way, but Wrenn was on 2, so I actually gain a loyalty by letting them remove it and letting it come back. Boseiju in the end step. I get my Wrenn. Get to untap and start looping Boseiju. Fistful of Wrens here. Pick up Boseiju. I'm going to hit the Saga right now before it does anything. And they know I'm holding Solitude. Don't know I'm holding Archmage Charm. I got the situation under control here. This one Memnite is doing a lot of work, though. It's just picked off this and that and the other thing. I have 3 Wrenns in hand. I'm not going to fight over Portable Hole. Darksteel Citadel, 1 card left in hand. I'll counter a Thought Monitor here. I don't care about Nettle Cyst. I can Prismatic Ending that. I can Solitude it. I gain a ton of life if I Solitude it, but fine. I'm going to Solitude in the end step. It's time to start attacking. I'm going to exile the Memnite and use Prismatic Ending on the Cyst. Red, green, another Wrenn. Pick up Beseju. Yeah, they've had quite enough. This match was never really close. It took a while to work through their stuff, but these sort of matchups I think are insanely positive. Hammer can cheese you and dance around you, but as long as you're hitting land drops and giving yourself options, it's tough to lose this. If you respect that you could die out of nowhere and just don't let that happen, then it becomes pretty hard to lose these matchups. We are 4-0 and I think 8-0. Yeah, 4-0, 8-0. Completely undefeated going into the trophy round. Let's do it. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. Final round, trophy on the line, and once again, I am on the play with a Wrenn and 6. It's a good recipe for success. When it's on 5, what modern deck goes to 5 like this? If it's Scam, I even have the Subtlety. Oh my god. Well, it's not Scam. It's a blue deck that mulled to 5. Okay. I'm going to leave Triumphs in the deck. I'm going to get Steam Vent's Breeding Pool and off to the races with Wrenn. Breeding Pool, Wrenn. I guess this could be Living End or Rhinos. Get back my Scalding Tarn and pass the turn. Didn't do anything with their mana, didn't even fetch. Okay, I'm deeply suspicious. No second land drop, kept 5. I'm weirded out right now, I'm not gonna lie. I'll pass the turn with Wrenn active and Counterspell up. This would be a great time to come up with a Triumph. Got Hallowed Fountain here. Leave the basics in my deck if I need them later. Leave all the Triumphs in my deck. Unholy Heat. There you are. Plus Scalding Tarn. And I'll play the Scalding Tarn and discard the Windswept Heath to hand size. My opponent doesn't have the decency of doing anything. I guess I'll just discard cards. Now I can hardcast Subtlety, if that's the thing that matters in this matchup. Okay. They did a smart thing of conceding before I really know what's going on. They're clearly miles behind and not going to win this game. They were about to go to discard and reveal something about their deck, which now I have to sideboard having seen Flooded Strand. Gives me very little to go off of here. Yep, here's my sideboard, and I don't know what they're doing. I'm going to cut my Dress Downs for Chalice of the Voids in case they are Rhinos, which is the type of deck that might keep a hand like that with a chance to recover. And I'm going to shave 2 Unholy Heats for 2 Flusterstorms. I'm going to board softly in the direction of them being a combo deck, because that's what can go the most wrong if I'm wrong. If I'm just like, I know nothing, straight into game 2 with the main deck again, and they are a combo deck that executes, I get smeared. If they're a fair deck, then okay, I've got some Chalices and Flusterstorms in my deck. They might still find some use, but my deck's really good against fair decks. But I want to hedge against the thing I'm bad against. So I will do a soft sideboard plan like they're a combo deck. And I will mulligan this no-lander. I will keep this 2-lander. I believe I'll send Flusterstorm to the bottom. Opponent kept 6 again. It could be Archmage Charm, actually. Yeah, I'm actually going to bottom Archmage Charm. Because if they are Rhinos, I can use Flusterstorm to protect Chalice. Oh, there's Wrenn. I don't have the second mana to do anything with it. And I'm not going to fire Chalice of the Void on 0 in case this is not a matchup where that's a thing. I am going to fetch Ketria Triumph here, which I don't have enough information about the matchup to make a good decision about that or not. And Triumph hits red and green, and there's no Stomping Ground in the deck, so any land I draw gives me Wrenn, which is what I was going for here. Okay, I'm just going to drop this Chalice on 0 now. If I'm right, this is the time to do it. If I'm wrong, then I'm down a card. But they hid their information extremely well. And I'll leave up Counterspell for a turn. See if they do something here. I don't want to just jam Wrenn into a mystery. Okay, are you Escape Shift? What is this? A Breeding Pool into play tapped. Maybe that wanted to be Steam Vents, actually. Yeah, that should have been Steam Vents. Hallowed Fountain, shock it in. That gives me Flusterstorm back up. The first, or yeah, Chalice is on 0. I was about to explain how Chalice on 1 versus Flusterstorm works, but this isn't even a Chalice on 1. Okay, we're getting some action in the end step. If this is Endurance, then I think I'm right. As far as headquarters, okay. Is it a control mirror? What? I don't know what's going on right now. Dramatic Ending, Flusterstorm. Good thing my Chalice is on 0 because, all right, well, this is not a Cascade deck if they have Prismatic Ending. That was just a guess that didn't go right, but now I'm playing the Wrenn game. Ooh, now I'm playing the Teferi game. Pick up Windswept Heath, and I have the other Flusterstorm in my hand, so we've got pretty much impunity here. Teferi, I'm going to bounce my Chalice. Maybe I can set it to a number that's better for the matchup. Okay, if they just shove Omnath here, that's pretty good. If they collect a company, I have Fluster. Cyclave Apparition. All right, that's not a card I can interact with. Taking my Wrenn, and I'm going to Steam Vents and Heat in the end step, get my 2 power creature. Okay, I think this is a collected company deck of some kind. Cyclave Apparition and this mana spread is Vant Spirits. Is that still a deck? Plus Teferi. Play a land. Don't know that I can afford basic here. I'm just going to use my life total as a resource and go mono blue mana base. Cash in the super awkward show you Unholy Heat, then Chalice on 1 game plan. Okay, here we are. Shocked in land number 5. Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. That's cool. I'm going to counter it. It's cool. Okay, so it's some sort of ETB triggers deck. I've seen some of this stuff in Pioneer with Siege Rhino. I'm going to put Kahira in my hand. Not going to play it. And I'm going to attack. Barry can draw another card next turn if that's a thing I want to do. 3 cards left in my opponent's hand. 2 counterspells in mine. Vesperlark. When this leaves the battlefield, return target creature with power 1 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. There are none of those. I have to assume this is part of a combo. Okay, you have Vesperlark. I might just bounce that with Teferi and be done with it. Do I want to draw 2 cards? Yeah, I think I'll draw 2 cards here. Get the train rolling. On another Teferi, that's perfect. I was planning to bounce this. Oh, that might be better. Okay, this Beseiju is awkward. A lot of awkward stuff going on here. I'll bounce the Vesperlark. No target for its ability. And then redeploy Teferi. March of Otherworldly Light, my Chalice. Oh, you care about that. Interesting. Oh, sure you didn't. Okay, that resolves. My handful of answers here. Think I'm okay trading just a card in their hand for a card that's in play already. They have Vesperlark and 1 mystery card. I have Counterspell, and I can instant speed exile things. There's the Vesperlark. Soul Herder. Okay. I think I want a Prismatic Ending the Vesperlark in response. And then I can bounce and counter Soul Herder next turn. Get rid of Vesperlark. Elish Norn with Soul Herder is some shit, though. I am into this. Everything that's happening right now I'm a fan of. Including the fact that we're miles ahead in this game. That's the thing I like the most, actually. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Solitude. So your creature. And then Teferi pick up Solitude against this creature deck with 1 card in their hand. Continue the beats. This looks like a 8-0, 10-0 trophy to me. I want to count my chickens before they hatch, but opponent is in some trouble over there. This last card in their hand better be good. Yeah, 8-0, 10-0 trophy. Or 5-0, 10-0? Yep. Nobody could take a game off of this grinding control deck. The mana base of dedicated 4-color Omnath is deeply exploitable with Blood Moon. We're not like ignoring Blood Moon with our deck, but we are playing through it as we showed in the league while maintaining the consistency of blue-white and the power of 4-color. This deck rules, and sideboard is super tunable. Main deck flex slot is like subtlety. You could change the number of Archmage's Charms, I guess. The Unholy Heats and Prismatic Endings were good. If you want, you can cut the 4 heats, main deck the Chalice of the Voids, and play 2 other removal spells that aren't Unholy Heat. If your metagame is full of Cascade decks, that's a good way to go. Highly customizable, high power level. This is exactly the type of Magic I like to play. If I had a Modern tournament tomorrow, I would be figuring out what 75 I'd want to play of this type of deck. Mr. Skittles, we did it. This deck rules. Thank you for sharing this with me. Zach Allen, thank you for your work. Making control decks better across Magic Gathering in general makes my life a lot easier. And thank you all for watching. That was a smooth run. Make sure to check out the Patreon, like, comment, subscribe, check out the links in the video description, all the stuff that supports the channel, and I will see you next time.